Hey everybody! Today's episode is brought to you by Keep the Heroes Out, which are developing a new digital version of their cooperative dungeon defense deck building game that I was a huge fan of when I covered it on the channel a few years ago. So I figured, let's show you how it works in video game form. You can play remotely online or sitting on the couch with your friends. And let's jump in. So I gotta pick which adorable denizen of the dungeon will defend their home. They all have different strengths and weaknesses. Kind of partial to the witches because their thing is they can create portals really quick and easy. Plus, they've got 2 hit points where most characters only have 1. So let's go with the witches. And that's it. I could roll if I'm playing solo, but you can play up to 4 players, pass and play or online. Let's bring somebody else in. Let's add another player. You want to have the dragon? The big, super tough dragon who has 5 hit points? Sure. Let's roll. The witches and the dragon. And now I gotta pick which level I want. Each one of them has unique special rules that change up the core deck building gameplay. 4 is fun. All hail the Bullfrog King. Let's jump into that one. So, you can get at a glance a list of what all the special rules are. Basically, the frogs, which we use as a reagent to make potions, we basically boil the frogs to make potions in the regular game, but now they've got a revolutionary leader, and there's a frog army growing that can actually attack us back. Normally, frogs are a good thing we use, but now they can be causing us trouble. So those are the special rules this time. Should I jump into hardcore? You want hardcore. Let's go hardcore. Alrighty, and there's a little story about how the frog revolution came about. Apparently, the local witch ended up turning a prince into a frog, and the prince frog says, "No more. We will not be your potion fodder." And so we are ready to go and deal with the Ribbit Revolution. Okay, so here is our dungeon. Right now, it's player 1. That's me. I am the witches, and I have to deploy them. The witches can go in 2 different rooms. In the room with the cauldron, where the potions are made, or down here in the room of the library, where we get the books we need to learn new spells. You know what? Right now, I'm going to put them both in here, because this is nice and central. Plus, it means the witches are very close to all the problem spots. See these flashing gems? These are where the bad guys are. And so, if I want to know a little bit more, I can always push this button and it shows, hey, here's my 2 witches, and here's all the frogs. Normally, I would just pick these frogs up and stew them into a potion, but now these frogs can fight back. In fact, these frogs might start overrunning our dragon, who always starts in the horde room. That's my teammate, and my teammate is in danger with those frogs. So, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, this is a deck builder. Here's the hand of cards I started with. And hey, right off the bat, I could play this card to do 2 ranged attacks or to draw a card and be ready to defend myself. That's nice. Let's actually save our buddy, the dragon. Let's attack an adjacent room. So, since both of my witches are here, it doesn't matter which one. Let's say we're going to attack, and let's attack up here. You can see the little frogs. Okay, there's 1 less now. Let's attack again and take out the other frog. And my dragon buddy breathes a sigh of relief. There's still 3 more frogs, which normally this would not be the case. Normally you got to go out of your way to make the frogs. We're not normally drowning in frogs like this. There is a frog in this room with us. Let's deal with that. Let's go on ahead and throw it in the cauldron and use it to make one of these 3 potions. At any given time, there are 5 cards on display that, let's see, here's a little... What is that? Is that a Minotaur? That we can tame. There is a scroll we could learn, and there are 3 potions. How do we make a potion? Throw the frog in the pot. Let's do that. I'm going to play this card that says, hey, 2 things. Move and interact. I can do it in any order I want, or I could undo if I chose the wrong card. Let's interact with this room. I could put a teleporter in this room, and then when I put a teleporter in another room, we can start getting around the dungeon much quicker. Maybe I should have had one down here, so I could have put teleporters between these 2 rooms so that we don't have to spend so much time walking back and forth. Okay, maybe later. Right now, I'm doing the other thing I can do with this room. Throwing the frog in the pot. So now I can get one of these 3 potions. This is a deck builder. It's going to go into my deck. This one says, hey, dig through your deck to find movement cards. Dig through your deck to find trap cards. I don't think the witches have any trap cards, so that one's no good. Dig through your deck to get defense cards. You know what? Being able to move is a good thing. Let's go on ahead and throw in the, hey, if I need to move and I didn't draw any cards, this will let me go looking for them. Let's throw that into the deck. Now, I'm half done, and you can see, hey, here's now a weapon that we could get if our what do you call it? Our dragon on their turn might go and build some of these weapons that are shown. But anyway, I'm not done with my card. Now I can move. Let's move. Let's have one of these wizards or witches come up here to join the dragon because it's safe now. Bop, bop, bop. Okay. And I've still got more cards. I can come... Ooh. Let's see. What I was thinking about doing was... right. Okay, we've got these other frogs, right? Yeah, we've got a frog to the left and the right of the room where the dragon and one of my 2 witches is. Okay. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell my other witch to, first of all, move and come up here. And then I'm going to say, hey, interact with this room. They could, again, make a portal, or they could make a coin. We're going to make a gold coin. Now, that coin could be taken over here and used in the forge to forge that weapon. All right, I've still got a couple of cards left. Let's go on ahead and do another super double ranged attack. All righty, and let's attack over here and take out the frog there. And over here, and take out the frog there. We have dealt with the froggy threat. And I've still got 1 card. I could actually summon a frog now. I could interact with this room, or I could summon another witch, but the witches, there can only be 2 of them, so I can't summon another witch. I don't have to play this card. If I don't, I'll carry it over to the next round. But let's just go on ahead and interact, and finally make our first portal. Boop. There. So now, if I make a portal somewhere over there, it's just 1 step to jump back and forth. Okay, and we're going to say that's it. There's a couple other things I can do, but I'm going to end it right there. And now here come the heroes. A rogue is attacking over there. No one's there. A rogue attacks over there. Nobody's there. We're safe so far. Okay, so they moved in, but no, we don't lose any of our heroes who are all safe in this room. Let's continue on. And now here comes an archer. And the archer, it's a good thing I got out of there. My witches would have gotten grabbed. And an archer showed up over there. They were looking for him, but we got out of the way. Phew, that was close. Alrighty, but this archer came into this room and looted one of our treasure chests. Loot now, questions later, which means each player has to lose 1 card from their hand. So this is what my next hand looks like. I gotta get rid of one of them. I'll get rid of one of these because I don't need to be summoning frogs right now. They're a danger to us. Though the dragon player has to get rid of one as well. Let's see, a double move and attack, or interact. Move and attack or interact. You've got 2 of those. Let's just get rid of one of those. Okay. And they keep taunting us. And here is the other thing. We've got this archer is going to shoot into the room and is shooting at us. But I have a defense card in my deck, so I'm going to play it and defend. Yay! Alrighty, so that it's always the player takes a turn, then the bad guys take a turn. This is the bad guys deck. You can see one of the rogue cards has been played, one of the archer cards have been played. There's 3 rogues, 3 wizards, 4 warriors, and the 2 Frog Valhalla cards that will be a Frogageddon if we don't keep the frogs under control. Okay, so anyway, the dragon is up. What does the dragon want to do? The dragon can move very far. The dragon could move and then attack. Could just come in and take out these rogues and then interact with stuff. Let's see. Where are everybody? Okay, there's a rogue there. There's a rogue there. There's an archer there. I don't like this archer taking pot shots at us. Do not care for that, says the dragon. So the dragon says, I'm going to play this card. Alrighty, and it chose it for, right, we're going to move. And we're going to come down to this room. And, do we want to bring the coin? No, we don't need the coin here. We need the coin over there. So we'll just leave the coin behind. And now we are going to attack and take out that archer. Done. Alrighty, now, let's see. He's got a couple of ranged attacks. He could interact here. There's no frogs to interact in this room. What else can he do? Now he can make a double move and double time it over to that rogue and then take that rogue out too. That's not bad. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go on ahead and play this double move. Alrighty, we're going to do our first move from this room to this room, and then our second move from that room to that room. Oh, and do we want to take the coin? No, we'll leave the coin behind, thanks. Because ultimately the coin's got to go to that room. And now, let's do another attack and move. First of all, we will attack, take out that rogue, and then we will move back over here. Because he loves, or no, we could spread out. We could come over here and start getting books to make spells. We come over here, start getting bones to make, to recruit the pets. Yeah, I want to do that. Let's just keep on coming over there. All right, so the dragon is over there now. And they're going to interact with this room and create a bone. Now, in a future turn, they'll pick the bone up, they'll bring it back here, which will let them build their deck. And so he's played all his cards. The dragon doesn't have to be done, though, because you've always got this card you can play once per turn. This lets an enemy into the dungeon, but they immediately get captured. So let's do that. All right? Oh, and it was the it was one of the Frogageddon cards. So we completely avoided Frogageddon. But whenever you do that power, you get to draw 3 more cards. The dragon isn't done now. The dragon can go on ahead and move back this way. Move back this way. You come here. Come in this direction. Bring the bone. All right, and now there's nobody to fight, so we're just going to skip the rest of the card. And then can play this card to interact with this room and deck build, and put this cool little Minotaur buddy in the deck that basically lets you draw a card, move, and attack. Very nice. Okay, and so could move some more, but we could just keep this so we're free to move around other times. Let's just go on ahead and be done. All right, and then here come the heroes. Oh my gosh, it's another frog again. Too bad I wiped out all the frogs, Frog Prince. Alrighty. Oh, but he did summon some more frogs up there in the sewer. So that's something we'll have to deal with. Meanwhile, wizards are attacking. The dragon took 1 point of damage from that wizard. This wizard just moved into the room with a rogue, and now they are going to plunder the chest, which makes us lose cards. Oh dear. Oh wait, oh no, it was something else. All right, okay, so anyway though, we're back to the witches, and we got a bunch of new cards. I need to take these coins, move over here so I can make the super shovel, build some weapons. We've got more bad guys, and you can see more bad guys are coming, but the Frogageddon cards are done. So as they play more of their cards, you can make a more informed guess about what rooms they're going to appear in so you can stay safe and avoid taking damage or losing troops, etc., etc. Anyway, folks, we are just getting started, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of the digital implementation of Keep the Heroes Out. And if you'd like to know more, there's a link down in the show notes that will take you to the crowdfunding page. Okay, I'm just going to, in closing, say thanks to Keep the Heroes Out for sponsoring the show.
Okay, and welcome everybody to episode 101 of the R&R show. Once again, thank you to Keep the Heroes Out for sponsoring this episode. I'm Ruel.
Absolutely.
That's Chris. That's Ray. And Chris has got the balloons and a well-shaven, new handsome look, my friend. And
well, finally, I've got the handsome look. I don't know what
Yeah,
that
I was gonna
means
say
for my
newly
other looks,
handsome,
Ruel,
Chris.
but you've really put your foot in it now. I'm gonna take the dragon from Keep the Heroes Out, and we're gonna. I know who I want to keep out of my Christmas card list.
Yeah. I've apparently rained down Frogageddon on my own here right onto into my mouth. But anyways, good to see you all again. It's been a minute since we got together, and I'm really excited to talk about our top 10 games of 2024. Now we are doing it a little early because the holidays are a crazy season, and hopefully we want to do this so we make sure we get it in under the wire. Ray, you also have a clean-shaven, handsome look as well.
Thank you. So I've been waiting for someone to notice. Thank you.
That's true. Honestly, sorry, Ray. I don't mean to take the spotlight.
Yeah, copycat. Jeez.
That's my bad. I'll just cover myself in mustard for the next one.
That sounds great. Yeah. Were you gonna say, Ruel?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
It was the joke, and that was it, and that's okay.
Yeah. But I guess I realized actually while we were doing the sponsor read that it's a little early, but this is almost my 1 year anniversary on the show because my first official show with you guys was the best games of 2023 last year.
Wow.
So that's kind of nice. That's a nice little bow on it. Another reason to celebrate. I think that's kind of fun.
Look at this full circle moment.
Yeah, I had a little bit more time to prepare. I remember feeling really self-conscious last year because I just hadn't played that many games from 2023 because I'm on the publisher side of things. I'm not really a reviewer like, Chris and Ruel are in their day lives. So I'm like, I'll play games that strike my interest, but I don't seek out the games from this year. So I remember kind of freaking out a little bit. I mean, I still stand by my picks, but this year with a full year of this show under my belt, knowing this show was coming, I felt a little bit more prepared. I'm going to try to actually play the hot games from this year. And I still somehow feel like I missed all of them somehow. The show still somehow feels like it came way too soon. But I did my best this year to be more prepared, to think more like a reviewer and less just like, a regular person playing whatever games I feel like. I tried to seek out games from this calendar year, which I don't normally do.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting. I feel like this year for me, I did the opposite. I was like,
really?
I feel like I always try to get the hottest. I was like, I want to, like when I went to, because I did like a bunch of theater contracts this year. And even like now I brought a bag full of games for theater to potentially throw upon unsuspecting castmates. But I kind of prioritized, like usually in the past, I've prioritized games that I have to review and games that I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to prioritize just like games that I want to play and games that I want to
Isn't it freeing though? It's like a little freeing to just be like, you know what? I'm going to play what I want to play. You know?
And then we get to a list like this, and I think, oh no, there are games
and
that I know would be on this list, but they are on my shelf.
I mean, I guess there is something to be said for like, if you weren't motivated to play the game, then I mean, there are obviously hidden gems every year that we miss, but there is, again, coming from my side of the business, which is marketing. Like if we didn't do a good job at grabbing your attention, then if it was a good game, but we didn't convince you to play it, like that also says something. I mean, obviously, again, there are good games that are ugly, that are poorly marketed, that happen all the time. And it's a tragedy that we miss them because of that. But, at some point, play what you want to play. It's board games. But I'm really happy with the list we did put together. I've previewed it and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, and what I love too is that there's more than a handful of my games on the list that y'all talking about. So I'm glad that we hit those spots. And there are also a few of them that I have not gotten yet to play. So I'm excited to hear what your thoughts on those. As we do this, folks, we are recording this live on Twitch, and we're going to have our viewers talk about some of their hits of 2024 as well. We're going to do that at the end of it. So Ray, Chris, and I are going to go through the first 9, and then we're going to have Richard through the magic of video join us for the number 1, and then we're going to hang out live here and talk about other games that we may have missed as well. So
and honorable mentions
too. Honorable mentions, that's right.
I'm curious what Richard's number 1 is. I don't know what it is yet. So chat, if you've got any guesses, if you watch a lot of Rahdo's videos, if you have a sense of what his favorite game from this year is, I'm curious to see if you can guess it, because it's a toss up for me. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, should we make predictions? Okay, I'm gonna go first because I only have one. I think Windmill Valley might be a contender for him.
That was actually what I was gonna guess as well. I feel like he's talked about that a lot. Yeah.
That's like I took a sneak peek. I know what it is, but that was my guess too because I know how much he loves Danny Garcia. So Windmill Valley.
Goblin says Daybreak.
Did Daybreak come out this year?
Daybreak.
Then it probably Daybreak is a better guess.
Good job.
Yeah, you can have Windmill Valley. I'll change it to Daybreak.
If Daybreak right.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited to see because I don't know. I didn't peek. I don't know what he's picking. So we'll see.
We're not little peepers like Ruel.
Yeah, we're not little cheats.
Yeah, that's me. Why don't we get to the list then? And this is going to be our number 10 on the collective list. We're going to have Chris kick off things today.
We start with me in order from the people who Richard likes the least to the most. No, I'm just kidding. My number 10 is one that I've talked about, I feel like, a few times in other lists, but it came out in 2024 and I had to put it on the list because I like Ivy Studios. I like their games, and I put Fractured Sky on the list for me. Fractured Sky is Ivy Studios could have been Moon Rollers. Moon Rollers was also out from them this year, but or at least it says it's a 2024 until I look next year and it's been changed to 2025. But yeah, Fractured Sky is a friggin' really fun game of bluffing and anticipating your opponents. And so something that I really enjoy in games is reading my opponent and having the ability to trick my opponent, right?
Mm.
I feel really good when I manage to trick someone into believing something that they shouldn't have believed, and I feel really great
Chris,
when
number one gaslighter.
well, yeah. Hey, gaslighting the game. I feel great when it happens to me as well. Because I think that creates memorable moments around the table, right? It creates that sort of that sensation of like, oh, I remember when you did this and you pulled this trick on me, and so Fractured Sky has a really nice blend of those things. Fractured Sky is going to take place over 5 rounds. Every round, starfall will fall in a certain spot, but more and more starfall will fall in locations, but they're hidden information. And so you have to decide if you are going to use your resources to build up additional things that can help you later on. If you're going to use your resources to take a peek, like Ruel, peeping ahead at the like end game scoring conditions, because every round there's like a different thing that will trigger, and so just developing those different like economies of figuring out what the board is, how it's working, and then potentially anticipating how people are playing their ships. You play 3 tokens essentially face down. I have the retail version, which I don't think enough people showed any interest in, because I think you'll mostly find the deluxe version with the awesome ships and magnets that you just like click on your magnet and put it over there. It's very cool. I mean, it's very cool.
Very Ivy Studios.
It's very Ivy Studios and
Magnets.
therefore very cool. But yeah, you just put a token face down, and your 3 tokens must add up to 10. So you have a 10, a 0, and a 0. So you can do that, but you can have a 1, 9, and 0, right? Any combination of things adding up to 10 and then the highest ship after modifiers wins whatever is in that section. But there might be stuff in that section, or there might not, depending upon how much you've looked into it. So yeah, I think it's a really fun game. I think it's a solid design. It gives me feelings of Raw. I like Raw better because I remember playing this game and Raw back to back and being like, yeah, it's kind of that feel of sussing out your opponent and bidding, right? It shares that DNA, but still a really solid design, and so that's why I like it. And that's why it's our number 10.
Very nice call. This is the video that I did with my buddies Daryl and Bonzinator. We live stream Fractured Sky earlier this year. I fell in love with this game immediately as well, Chris, for all the reasons you spoke of. And Ivy Studios always knocks it out of the park production-wise. I'm surprised. So I got the version with the magnets. The one that you have, the retail. Well, how did they do that? Are you just hiding?
It's just tokens.
It's just tokens.
Yeah, it's just a token face down. You don't have a ship. So you just have the screen.
Got it.
And you pull out your token and you put it face down in the spot that you want it.
Okay.
The resources are also tokens. It's great. I love pushing retail versions of games. Yeah, you know, I've always been a huge cheerer on of Foundations of Metropolis versus Foundations of Rome. I think the tendency is to make games really deluxified nowadays, and so I like that there's always the option for people who want to do that. But it's always great to me to see that when there is the cheaper versions, that the game can be accessible to people who don't have as much disposable income but still want to enjoy the game experience.
Yeah. That's a great point. Interesting, too, that you brought up the comparison to Raw, which I didn't even think about. But that is a very apt description, just the way the bidding works. And, you know, you're going to have a certain tile that goes away and other ones that don't. So good. I discovered this game. It's funny you talk about how you discovered after Raw. I discovered this one right after El Grande. And El Grande is a classic area control game. So then I go over here and play this. And this is another wonderful area control game that's very different than El Grande. So what a great choice. I really, really like this game.
Great.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to play this one yet. I've really enjoyed all my Ivy Studios experiences, but this one I haven't picked it up yet, partially because like the price point's a little much for me and I wasn't sure on it, but you've talked about it enough that I probably will eventually pick it up. But
if you like the vibe of Ivy Studios stuff, like Veiled Fate, if you like Veiled Fate, I think that's the closest that I have played to the similar feeling of Fractured Sky. Like I've also played Moonrakers and Moonrollers, but I think like because of the above the table interaction, it hits with Veiled Fate. It also kind of hits with Fractured Sky. If you like Veiled Fate enough, you're like, man, I really like this design, those design principles, then I think Fractured Sky will likely hit as well.
Cool. Yeah,
absolutely.
totally.
Yeah, that's a perfect description, Chris. Once again, you're just perfect, my friend. That talking about the Veiled Fate interaction between players is very similar to Fractured Sky.
New handsome look, new perfect
New
personality.
handsome
That's
look.
what I say.
I can't get over that. Now with a
yeah.
new handsome look.
Chris 2.0 is being debuted
That's
right
right.
here, episode
Perfect
101. Time
and
for a
handsome.
change, baby.
Nice. Great call, Chris. So that's our number 10, Chris Fractured Sky. We're going to move on to our number 9, which is me. I'm going, okay, cool. I am going to be talking about a game. It's funny, Chris, and talking about Knizia. This one also reminds me of a Knizia game. This game is Skyrise from Roxley Games, and I played. This is the version that I played here. This is the deluxe version. Kimberly Tolson and Tabletop Tolson played, and I have the retail version, but I played my friend Daryl's copy. He has the deluxeified several times, and just immediately fell in love with it. It is an area control game, and it's got that really cool bidding mechanism like Raw. So you're gonna bid on a plot of land by placing one of your buildings there, and each building has a different number. So everyone puts one down, and then you have to either bid or pass. So if I put a building, say with like number 30, you can only go higher than the 30, or you just pass. And then we go around the table. Whoever has the highest will then flip over the building, so the number is hidden. Everyone takes their other buildings back, so you have to leave yours there. So that to me reminds me a little bit of Raw as well. So you go through there's 3 different islands that you're going there and bidding. Some of them give you resources, so a little bit of resource management as far as that's concerned. And also you have wonder buildings as well, that you place a wonder is going to give you a special ability. This it just hits on so many levels for me, that bidding mechanism combined with the area control is so smart, and it's so elegant. I mean, y'all know how much I love games where you do one thing on your turn and then that's it. You move on to the next turn. But there's always that agony of, what should I bid here? Because I want this building, but I know this area is taken up, and I don't want this area that badly, and I want to save my building for another part, but I may not get there. Depending on how, it's just all these little things adding up, and it's not really analysis paralysis. It's just the tension of what type of decision you want to make. And I love games like this, and Skyrise is full of these moments throughout. I'm basically from the get-go, and it really reminds me of a Knizia in that sense, right? The rule book's only a couple pages long, and so you get to the table really quickly. This is a design by, I want to say his name, Sebastian Pochon. It's a game inspired by his game Metropolis, and then the Roxley team basically redid it, re-implemented it into Skyrise. It's just, it's building a land in the future. I absolutely love this game. I fell in love with it. It's my type of game. And again, right after I had played El Grande this year for the first time ever, that's like a 20-year-old game. This one hit the table and absolutely fell in love with it. It's another fantastic area control game, and that's why it is our number 9, Skyrise.
Yeah, I'm really glad you had this on your list, Ruel. This was on my short list, and I was kind of sad that
good.
it didn't quite make my top 3. But no, this was, I think I put this as like my 4 or 5.
Nice.
I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah.
I don't have the deluxeified version. It was speaking about just like
Yeah.
being overproduced and lots of plastic bits. I don't have that, but I have the retail version and I love it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a gorgeous game. Really good implementation of that bidding mechanic.
Yep.
And the retail version works great. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thing.
It does.
Yeah, just going off that same discussion, but like that version exists if you want it. But if you looked at that and you went, "Oh my god, that's probably too expensive for me," there is a very approachable, accessible retail version that's the same exact game.
Yeah.
And just as pretty. So
it really is.
Yeah,
the main difference is you have, I think it's just regular cardboards, whereas the deluxeified is like these 3D islands.
It's like raised
and the building's
plastic.
A little nicer. Yeah. But yeah, the gameplay exactly the same. It's fantastic. So I'm glad it was on your short list, Ray. I was wondering who else had it, if anyone had added it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I know it was like on my like anticipated, and part of that, it's cool that it's a revamp again from the Roxley team. Like the Roxley
Mhm.
team helped revamp Brass, which is the
Yeah,
#1 game on Board Game Geek, right?
that's right.
Like
Yeah.
they're pretty good. They're pretty
Yeah,
good developers in helping bring
really.
something,
Yeah,
back into the limelight. So,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Have y'all played Radlands? That's another one of their games. Radlands.
mhm.
No, I
Oh,
keep I
it's
it's on my
really
list
good.
and I know, I
Yeah,
know.
That's
yeah.
surprising
I
to me that you
haven't
haven't
gotten
played
it yet.
Radlands, because I know
Yeah.
you like head to head with your Seven Wonder
I
Duel,
do.
Yeah.
and
I
I feel
do.
like, do you like the dueling card game genre?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I don't know
Oh,
why Redlands is just I don't
I
know.
feel like it's one of
I
the
don't
best of
know.
its kind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Everyone tells me I would love it, and I don't know why. Maybe it's almost like the reverse psychology effect of at some point I'm like, I'm not gonna play it. Everyone's
Yeah.
telling me to, or I'm
You
like,
can't
I
make
don't
me.
want to.
You
No,
just seem
I know
you
I would
seem
love
like
it.
a
Everyone
person
who
who would
knows
like
me,
Radlands, yeah.
yes, I am. I just I don't know why I haven't played it yet.
But it's funny though. I feel like for whatever reason, it has sort of flown under the radar. It just didn't pop as much as
I feel like
other
it's a
two-player
cult
dueling games.
classic. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you either haven't heard of it or you love it. It's like one of
yep,
those games, right?
exactly. Yeah.
In the chat,
Yeah.
this is the tangent upon tangents, but the chat's saying, "Wait, Radlands or Ratlands?" Actually, there is a game called Ratland,
Is it
and it
really?
is a good game. It is quite a good
That's
game.
awesome.
Ratlands.
It's like a hidden gem.
Oh my gosh,
Seriously, Ratland is a hidden gem.
Really? Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
that is
you're
hilarious.
simultaneously deciding on what you do on your turn, and you're trying to steal cheese from either your neighbors,
Love
or
it.
like from a
That's
common
perfect.
Sold.
supply. It's great. They got little rat minis. Although I think that might have been
Ooh,
deluxification. I played at a friend's house. We just played it 2 players, and it was still really good. Again, in terms of that, like
Ratland.
trying to read your
Ratlands.
opponent. Yeah, like
Heck yeah.
Ratland is legitimately a good game, and
I love that.
people in hidden gem. I'll put it on the
Wait,
hidden gems list. The next hidden gem list we do, I'll remember it. I'll put it
Yeah.
on there. Like it's
I
yeah.
have one more tangent from John Tripp in chat. Says top 10. The retail version is fine. Games. That's hilarious.
That's
I
a
That's a
love
great
wish
that.
list
list.
right there.
Top 10. The retail version is fine.
You know what? If that doesn't happen on R&R soon, and yeah, I'm
That's
just going to do it
funny.
on Ruined Board. That's such a
I
that's a
love
Yeah,
Ruined
that.
Board
that's a good
top 10.
idea.
I'll do the full top 10, and then I'll just bring my top 3 here. We can do it on both. Let's go retail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's our
gotta
number
say, I
9.
do kind of want to play Ratlands before Radlands now. Like
Yeah.
that
I'm
sounds
not gonna lie, I
weirder.
want to try that out too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
Ray.
Time to segue into
Yeah, you got our
top
number 8.
number
Number
8.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, number 8. This game was a huge surprise to me, and it probably shouldn't have been because all year everyone was going, "This game is a huge surprise. It's actually really good." And then I played it, and I went, "Gosh darn it, this is a huge surprise. This game is actually really good." And I should have seen that coming, but I put it off for a long time because I'm like, "This looks like a kid's game. I don't really get what's so good about it." But our number 8 is Captain Flip. Oh my God, Captain Flip
Yes.
is it's so good. It's
Yes.
so good. If you were like me and you rolled your eyes and you said, "Meh, this is a kid's game. It doesn't look that good." Just play it. Just play it.
Yep.
You can only hate this game if you hate fun. Captain Flip is basically a push your luck game where you are assembling a crew of pirates for your ship or your island or whatever. And you, on your turn, you just take a card or you take a tile out of a bag and you either place it on your ship, and you've got these little columns and your people have to stack, so you can't just put someone at the top of the column. You have to build up, and you either place I have someone in chat already saying this looks like a kid's game. Stop it. It's not. You can just place the tile face up, or you can
Boo
choose to
her.
flip the
Boo.
tile. But you can't go back on that decision. And it sounds so boring, but it's so well implemented. So you either choose the tile face up that you got, or you flip it over and you have to place it as is. And you're going to get points for adjacencies and various combos and set collection. It's just really clean, really well implemented. What I love about it is I love push your luck games in general. And I tend to like push your luck games that have high risk, high reward, right? Where you can just bust and you could just be out of the round. But that is kind of unpopular. Not everyone likes that. It's one of the reasons why that genre is kind of divisive. It can be really punishing. It can be really unfun if you just lose. And what I love about Captain Flip, which does probably make it pretty accessible for kids, is that there's no tile you just draw and you lose. There's no tile you flip and then you lose. There are a couple of sets that if you get too many of them, it's bad. Like if you get 3 gunners on your ship, at the end of the game, you'll lose, but you have a potential chance to fix that. After you place a tile on your ship, there's another tile in the game that you can potentially get called the monkey, which when placed allows you to flip back over a tile you have previously placed, which also creates a tiny little bit of a memory game, which is really fun, trying to remember what the reverse side of tiles you've already placed and flipped were. It's just really well implemented. The boards also change up the gameplay a ton. There's only like 9 or 10 different characters in the game, but depending on the heights and like the orientation of the columns, certain characters are much more powerful in different maps. So there's never just a universal, oh, that's the bad card to flip. It's all variable, it's all super well integrated and really interesting, and it takes like 10 minutes. My favorite filler game. It's in my top 3 filler games now, probably of all time. Absolutely phenomenal. I love this game.
Yes. I was absolutely thrilled to see that you got this one in, Ray. This is it is one of my favorite games of this year, and it's one of my favorite games of recent times as well. Again, everything you said was 100% right. You are perfect as well, my friend. Everything it's so
You're handsome and perfect.
Yes, handsome and perfect. No, but that memory element is really fun, and I love the push.
So good.
So I think it's the guy with the cannon. I forget, the gunner. That's the one that gives you the most points right off the bat. 5 coins, and I always go for the gunners. I want to, but if you have 3 of them at the end of the game, you just blow up your ship, and to me, it's always fun trying to get as many gunners as I can and hoping for that monkey so I can flip them over so they don't blow up my ship. I may have failed with that strategy more than once, but it is fun every single time. Yeah.
It gives you an out. That's what I like about it. It's not like you just flip and you're just like, oh, womp womp, I blew up, I pushed my luck too far, whatever. Like, you know, Quacks of Quedlinburg. There's all these games where it's like, at some point, you just lose. And that is kind of true here, but they give you this ability to undo what you've done, right? If you've gone too far, they let you walk it back. And it's not super easy to do that, but that illusion that you can always, maybe you'll draw a monkey and we can fix this whole mess, it makes it feel less punishing. And if you do actually blow up your ship via gunners, it feels like you really did that to yourself. Like you intentionally went too far. You were given multiple options to not have that happen. It just makes that feel a little less random and punishing. Because I know some people find that to be a little bit, you know, not their favorite thing in a push your luck game. And this one it just feels good. You know, it's just, it's so simple, but so strategic. And you would never expect that from this art style, which is also beautiful. By the way, I really love the art in this game.
Oh, yeah.
It is kind of childish, but it works for what the game is. So, I'll stop yapping. This game's great. If you have overlooked it because you thought it was, you know, too simple or silly, it's really good. I really love it.
Yeah, it is. You know, folks in chat, Rolling with Reggie, I play several games with him on BGA. You can play this game for free on BGA, folks, BoardGameArena.com, and we played a bunch, and I've played this game a ton online, but also in real life, and it's actually in my game bag out in the other room because I'm bringing it to Thanksgiving celebration to play with family. My niece and nephews love it. I love it. Michelle loves it. It's been such a banger this year. It's been a huge hit, and it was also nominated for a Spiel as well. So
yes, I think it's very deserving of that. It fits that good family weight category with some new interesting mechanics.
Agreed.
I think it makes a ton of sense as a Spiel winner.
Yep, agreed. Great call, Ray. Let's move on to Chris. You've got our number 7.
Well, let's take us from the high seas to the low seas to the deep seas. It's Endeavor Deep Sea. I feel like I've mentioned this a couple times in lists on this channel, but again, I saved the one that I haven't mentioned for my number 1 pick. So it's going to be a new one for me later on. But Endeavor Deep Sea it's really good. It's from Burnt Island. It's one of those games that I think about fondly sometimes in the dark hours of the night. I find my memory straying to it, even when I can't. When I might be holding another board game on the shelf, I think, what about Endeavor? My neighbor has a copy of Endeavor, and so I'm like, okay, great, I don't need a copy, but. It's just so satisfying in terms of building this engine. I think I really like tracks when you get
Like bumping tracks.
a good track that just gets you better and better bonuses every time, and the bonuses feel
Yeah.
good. Like, that's what feels good about this game, is these 4 tracks that you have, that you can get better and better characters who will do more things. You can get more actions. You can get more movement, which always feels like the least exciting thing, but it's not. It's so exciting because you can delve down deeper into the deep, dark depths, and see what you're going to see with all the little sea life, because the spaces that you can place things on get better and better the deeper that you go. And so expanding that, everything just feels really good. Even the sideboard, which thematically I don't care, but it's just got a bunch of places where you can put cubes and get bonuses. Of course, now I care. It's fantastic. Endeavor, it's just like such a well-oiled machine, and it's one that I think completely fondly of. And so that's why I was like, I didn't want to put it on this list again, because I've mentioned it in like a couple other ones, and I don't like repeating myself. I like potentially giving new information, but I repeat myself all the time with too much shipping, and this is the right amount of ship. And so we've got Endeavor Deep Sea as our collective number 7.
Yeah, I'm dying to try this one, Chris, because you've talked about this several times this year, and that means it's a great game. Yeah, and I like tracks. I like boats. I'm definitely going to give this a shot.
There was an important question in chat.
Yes.
In chat, someone asked, "Is there a track that gets you more tracks?" That's the real test of if it's a good track game.
Oh, that's
and you wish
true.
for more wishes?
Yes.
Dang, no. Maybe there's an expansion. Maybe that's in the expansion. I haven't played it.
Heck yeah.
Tracks on tracks on tracks.
Yeah.
Now, Endeavor, was this a redo of a previous game, or was it another Endeavor, Chris? I forget the.
Yeah, there were a couple Endeavors. There was Endeavor Age of Sail.
Okay.
And then I think there was another Endeavor. I think it was just Endeavor started, and then there was Endeavor Age of Sail, and then there's Endeavor Deep Sea. By all accounts, I haven't played the other Endeavors, but by all accounts, this is the best version of them all.
Right.
Also, because the theming is better and less problematic than one of them.
Right.
But also too, it's just like, I feel like you learn things. I like seeing iterations upon design, especially if I haven't played the previous designs. If I have played the previous designs, I go, wow, why'd you change it? I bought the first version. I was your beta tester. Wow. But I wasn't. This is my first introduction to it, so I get to benefit from it. So I'm very happy about it. And I think like you can see like growth and development and like lessons learned, I'm sure. But by most accounts, when this was happening, and they did a really cool thing with the insert, is that it was made out of sugar or bamboo.
Wait,
or
what?
something.
Cool. Yeah, it was like
I think
biodegradable or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
It was like a biodegradable thing, especially because it's environmentally conscious. Like the theming is about the environment, and so they went the extra mile to make sure that like, okay, the insert is like it's some sort of sugar. It's like compressed sugar cane. I think it's sugar cane pulp.
Wow.
If I'm recalling correctly.
Now I'm really, I want to see what a compressed sugar insert looks like. That's really got my interest.
Bagasse.
Okay.
Bagasse, Bagasse, is a byproduct of sugarcane processing. It can be molded into detailed and sturdy inserts and trays.
Wow.
Cool. And I'm going to find out the actual pronunciation.
Wow. Okay, I want to check that out.
Bagasse is what it's called.
Yeah, Bagasse. Is this this is just standard retail? Is that correct? There's no, as we're continuing this conversation, there's no.
There was a deluxeified version during the Kickstarter. Yeah, there were 2 versions. The thing about Burnt Island, and I've said this for so often, but Burnt Island are I find the top. I said this when I talked about them in like best publishers. This is my number 1 reason, is because they give a great value for retail and a great value for deluxe. I feel like the retail is always on another level than like the disparity between deluxe and retail is usually very significant, but I feel like it is worth it for both of those. If you're going retail or you're going deluxe, you're still going to get a good product.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. What a great number 7, friends. That is Chris's choice for our collector number 7, Endeavor Deep Sea. Okay, moving right along, we've got our number 6, which is going to be me. Ray, I think you'll appreciate my number 6. This has been one of my favorite games of all year long, and again, of recent memory. It is our collector number 6, Gnome Hollow. Ray, you actually taught this game to me at Gamma this year, and I'm so grateful for that. I fell in love with the game immediately. It's got a bunch of stuff that I love: worker placement, tile laying, and just the artwork from Mr. Anderson. It's just so watercolors. It's so welcoming and just so peaceful. And I love the vibe about it. What you're trying to do is collect all the mushrooms to complete these rings, and as you do, you'll be able to sell your mushrooms back to the market depending on what type they are. So there is that market element to it. It's got a lot of cool elements to it, and yet, and this is what I love most about Gnome Hollow. It's got I feel like a lot of moving parts, but it doesn't overwhelm you. It's like at its core, it's still tile laying. And then you place your little worker, the cute little gnome. And then you do stuff. And then you maybe get bonuses. And you get extra points. But everything just flows wonderfully in this game. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, is this Amon Anderson's first design?
He kickstarted one other game by himself, but this is his first like major with an established publisher game.
Yeah, I mean, it is fantastic. I was really, really surprised about this. And just we got to talk about those magnetic player boards. Just such a brilliant innovation. We need more of that in gaming, honestly, folks. And I remember the at Gamma when Ray introduced me to the game, she's like, "We got magnets," and I was like, "Oh yeah!" And just seeing that,
it's such a fun game to demo because I'd love to not tell people about it and see them discover it for the first time. It's always so fun.
It's one of those like light bulb moments, like why haven't we been doing this all along? You know what I mean? It's like it's so great, and it's just, as much as I love dual layer cardboard and everything, I mean, it's all about magnets, folks. It is absolutely brilliant. So everything, the art, the gameplay, I love. It's about a 45-minute game or so, which these days falls in my wheelhouse. That's my jam. But there's enough of a puzzle there that keeps me coming back. With that market, the puzzle nature of it, and that's why it's our number 6, folks. It is Gnome Hollow from the Op.
Nice. I'm so glad this made it onto your list. I hadn't really thought about this before, but when you were describing it, it really kind of is a game tailor-made for you, because 2 of your favorite mechanics, if I'm not wrong, are tile laying and worker placement, and it really does do both of those things really beautifully. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad I didn't have to put it on this list because I always feel horribly biased. I'm glad you independently enjoyed it enough to put it on your list. That's awesome.
Yeah. And just to be perfectly transparent, I mean, I did do a paid preview for the Op, so, and Amon did make this little custom watercolor of myself with my pugs. So just to put that out there, I don't know if it had any kind of influence on me. I feel like it's a solid
custom
game.
Watercolor of you and your pugs?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Is it close?
It's in the other room.
I'll
post it in Discord or something. And it's so wonderful. And he's like such a lovely human being as well. It's so kind. And I've had, I had a couple of brief conversations with him at Gamma and at Gen Con. Just, really, really cool. But yeah, Gnome Hollow, folks, it is the real deal. And we talked about this before on the show, how we love what the Op is doing these days. Jumping into the hobby sector more, hobby games, rather than, they have a lot of the big IP, mass market games, but games like this, Gnome Hollow, these are the games that I really, really enjoy. So that's our number 6, Gnome Hollow. Yeah. All right. Number 5. That's next. Yeah, Ray. Sorry.
Oh, that's me. Oh, sorry. No, I was settling in to listen to someone else talk again. Oh, okay. Our number 5 is a game called Kelp that has the most ridiculous subtitle in the world, which is Shark versus Octopus, and almost made me not want to play it because I was like, that's so goofy. Like, it sounds like a bad superhero movie. But then you look at it, and it is the most gorgeous, beautiful production ever. And I my only gripe with this game is I wish they'd just called it Kelp. I wish they'd left off the tagline, because to me, it makes it sound a lot cheesier than it is. It makes it sound like, again, like a silly superhero battler game. And this is a very elegant, asymmetrical 2-player cat and mouse game. Now, that genre has been done before, but this, I think, is hands down my favorite entry in that genre. You're going to be playing as either the octopus or the shark. And if you're playing as the octopus, you are playing a hidden movement game where you are shuffling around these blocks that are facing you. So you can see one of those blocks has the octopus on it. That's where you are. And then the other ones are little shells that you're hiding in or traps that you're setting. And you're basically shuffling these tiles around and strategically moving around to try to evade the shark. It's a hidden movement mechanic. You also have deck building. You're going to be learning cards because octopi are very smart. So you're going to be learning cards that you can use to make your octopus better at hiding and evading the shark. And then on the flip side, the shark player is going to be on the other side of the board and is only going to see the white backs of these tiles, so not knowing where the octopus is. And they are playing a bag builder, where every round they are going to pull out a certain number of dice that are going to be various colors. That's going to represent the different actions that the shark can do. They're going to roll those dice, and that'll tell you how strong, how much can the shark move, or how easily can the shark attack this turn. So the octopus is more of a strategic role. They're trying to plan out their escape. They're trying to evade the shark the entire time. And the shark is playing a more tactical game where they're going to draw some dice and they're going to have to figure out what to do with those dice each turn. And what I love about this game is both of these roles feel very fulfilling. I tend to like in these style cat and mouse games to always be the mouse. I love to always be running away and hiding and being sneaky. And Kelp is the first game where I actually really enjoy the seeker role in this game. It just feels, I don't know, there's something about the tactile nature of it. It's not too long. You don't feel like, oh man, I'm really behind, I can't ever catch up, because there's only like 9 or 10 places where the octopus can be. The bag building is really satisfying. It's the perfect playtime. I love it. The production quality is gorgeous. Those tiles are like really nice ceramic tiles. I love the color palette of this game, that orange and red. You don't see, not orange and red, orange and green. You don't see very much. Really stunning table presence. And it has just enough depth without feeling fiddly. I think they really beautifully integrated the mechanics where each roll feels meaty and each time feels different, because you can be building up your deck with the octopus. You can be buying these one-time use cards as the shark. Every game feels different, but it also doesn't overstay its welcome. You never feel like you're really behind. It's so good. I don't know how else to explain it other than it's my favorite implementation of two-player cat and mouse. It's just phenomenal. I love it so much.
Nice. I have not played this, and it's for the reasons why you talked about earlier, Ray. Kelp Shark versus Octopus, I had that name just didn't really vibe.
It's
with
goofy.
Me.
It's a little goofy.
That name makes you more interested in playing it.
No,
Kelp,
it makes me interested. I was thinking it's more like
octopus.
a movie, not a game. Like it's like Sharknado.
Exactly.
I want to see Sharknado.
Do you not want a
cinematic
experience?
But yeah, but Kelp, I mean, this looks awesome. And the way you described it right now, I'm like super interested. I didn't know it was like a bag builder. I didn't know any of this stuff. So this looks fantastic.
Yeah, people are saying in chat that the shark looks like a little Lego shark. It was in the copies that were sent out to reviewers. But then it's not in the regular copy. That was just like a pre-production thing.
Got it.
As well.
Yes, it did. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's
it's also like it was a wild sort of success, considering too. I remember Wonderbow Games have only done one other game to my knowledge. The first other game that they did, it was a very small card game. I remember they contacted me. I reviewed their previous one. It was just a small card game that was like, hey, everybody puts a card forward. There are sharks and octopuses above my head that are smashing things.
Careful.
If you can hear that. But everybody puts a card forward, and like you flip it over, and you're choosing one of 4 colors essentially. And if people chose the same colors, nobody gets it. And that was the whole game. And it was like fun. It was like really solid. But then just to see the growth and evolution is kind of neat as well.
That's actually so funny that you say that, because that mechanic is in Kelp.
Oh,
that if you pick the same thing. So one of the things I like about this, to mitigate the luck element of, just the shark finds the octopus right away, because there's only, again, I think there's only like 9 or 10 spots the octopus could be, right? So there is a non-negligible probability that the shark just finds the octopus based on luck. And so when that happens, each player, the shark and the octopus, has 3 cards, and it's effectively the same thing, like 3 colors. They're thematic about like how the shark is attacking or whatever. But basically, 3 colored cards, you each pick one, and if you pick the same one, then the shark effectively counters the octopus's like escape tactics, and you capture them. So at the beginning of the game, even if you find the octopus, you only have a 33% chance, or whatever that math works out to be, of actually capturing the octopus. You will reveal where they are, because you'll have attacked them and you'll know they're there, but you might not necessarily end the game right there. Which is also something that I forgot to mention that I really love about this game. One of the economy aspects of the octopus role is, as you're learning these cards to make your deck building better, to pay for these cards that you're playing, you pay by revealing blocks. So you have to pay to use abilities by making your position more obvious, which I think is so brilliant. But it's fascinating your point, Chris, that this is one of their first games, because this does not feel like a first time publisher game. This game is so well optimized and so well designed. It really feels like it's coming from a studio that's been making games for years, truly. And the same with the production quality too. Like, it does not feel like I made my first Kickstarter game. It does not feel like that at all.
The jump in quality between the two, I was very shocked when I was like, "Oh, I remember your previous game, and now I remember this."
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Now, is this? There was a while ago. There was like this big stink about. I don't know if it was this game Kelp, but like they got bootlegged like right off the bat when it first came out. Is
Oh,
this that
yes,
game?
it is this game. Yes. Yes, I don't remember the details of what happened there.
Yeah.
But yes, it hadn't fulfilled on Kickstarter, but there were like bootleg copies going around.
Like
I don't want to
Amazon,
speak to it because I don't know the details, but I do remember something that
I think you're correct that it was. Yeah.
So we'll have to hopefully they recovered beyond that, because I know it was a big thing. Like, it was still, it wasn't even fulfilled on Kickstarter, and it was already on Amazon, like, from these shady individuals. So hopefully they're okay. Crazy stuff. Okay,
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah, that is a game I want to definitely check out. Kelp. Let's move on to our collective number 4, which is Back with Chris.
Well, speaking of indie studios, this is from one. Come on. My number, our number 4 is Dune: War for Arrakis. Just a small mom and pop shop.
First game.
They're doing
Baby's
what they
first
can.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's surprising. I looked in their past history and I was like, man, they've done more than I expected. But they did this one. Yeah, I haven't really heard of anything that they've done previously. But I guess we'll just talk about this. This must be their first hit. This is Dune: War for Arrakis. This game is fantastic. It is by the designers of War of the Ring, and so I just played this recently with my good friend Zach, and we had a day where we learned and played Dune: War for Arrakis, War of the Ring, and Star Wars Rebellion. So the three sort of long 4-hour asymmetric games. There's a good side and evil side. We're like, let's play them all in the same day, and it was fantastic. It was such a beautiful day. But this is by the designers of War of the Ring, and I realized that I hate War of the Ring. I think it's awful. And this game feels so similar to War of the Ring, and yet I think it is incredible. And so it's just so mind-blowing to feel like the disparity, like it's again talking about like lessons learned. I feel like all the lessons that were ever learned with War of the Ring came right into modern board gaming with Dune: War for Arrakis. I just really, really love this game. You play either the colonizers of Dune, the Harkonnen, the Emperor, or the sympathetic colonizers of Dune, the Atreides. And you like Harkonnen starts with a big presence on the board. They've taken over a bunch of stuff. Atreides has this ragtag group of heroes that are working with the Fremen to defeat the Harkonnen, and you have these asymmetric win conditions. For the Atreides group, you are trying to move up on 3 different tracks, where everything you do can get you points on those tracks, but the amount of things that you need to do is unknown to the Harkonnen player. And the Harkonnen player is just trying to harvest all the spice out of the desert planet of Dune, and also take over your base camps. And there's just like, it's so good. You roll your dice at the beginning of the game, and those determine what actions you can take. And then you have to use those actions sparingly. Harkonnen will have more actions than Atreides, but Atreides will get these little bonus actions throughout. It just feels like so finely balanced, such an exciting tension, some fun card play of asymmetric gotcha abilities. Yeah, it just was a really, really lovely time in terms of those like huge games, essentially. So yeah, Dune, War for Arrakis, it really, really blew me away. Like, yeah, it was just such a lovely experience, and highly, if you like those big 2-player like epic experiences, this one was really good. This one was really good, and I really, really enjoyed it.
So you played this, Star Wars Rebellion, and War of the Ring all in one day.
That's insane.
That is insane.
It was awesome.
Like that's like what,
insane.
15 hours of gaming or something like that?
Yeah, we did it in about 12. Wow. Which was pretty good, I felt. getting these like set up. Well, Zach set up Dune before I had shown up to the day, so
Yeah.
like he that helped us a little bit. And then Zach also put Star Wars Rebellion away in the most unhinged thing I've ever seen, and we're no longer
No.
friends, which is exactly what
No,
you're thinking.
not the
arm
table
sweep?
wipe.
Yes,
No.
this table wipe
arm
into the
sweep?
box. I was like,
Ah.
you are not my friend anymore.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
Like,
end.
we're done.
Actually, friendship over, believe it or not.
Years of friendship gone, and rightfully so. We filmed a little video after too. That'll be coming out on my channel in like I think a couple weeks, not this week, but next week.
Awesome.
And it just is like recapping and going into more depth of all of our experiences with all three.
Yeah.
But it was such a good day. It was such a good day. It was so much fun.
So,
Aw,
of those three big
that's really
games, this is
cute.
obviously your favorite, and you didn't like War of the Ring. Interesting.
No.
Star Wars Rebellion's the only one I've played. I played it twice, and I absolutely loved it.
It's great. Yeah. It was like very neck and neck for Dune Star Wars Rebellion, but I think Dune edged it out just a bit. They're very different experiences, though. I was expecting a more similar experience, but just because of the large asymmetry, like Dune and War of the Ring, so many of the rules were exactly the same, and yet has such disparate experiences. But like for Star Wars Rebellion, it feels tangibly different that I don't know if I would ever sort of lump them in together again. But like my preconceived notions going in, like Zach's played Star Wars Rebellion a ton of times. And so I was like, it's the big asymmetrical, Empire's going to have the advantage, ragtag team type of heroes. But I love the hidden hide and go seek aspect of Star Wars Rebellion, which you don't get in Dune War for Arrakis. But Dune for Arrakis feels more tactical, right? So more like war game feeling than like Rebellion, which is more sort of modern board game feeling, I would say.
Got it. Now, I've heard a lot of great things about War of the Ring. I have not played it yet, but I don't know if you can speak on this, but what made it like not as good as Dune?
I think Dune just felt so elegant. It felt again like they took all the lessons that they learned from War of the Ring and they streamlined them and they made it easy for the player to interact with. Nice. Right? Like we had to turn to the rules significantly less in Dune, which is wild because they're the same rule set. But just somehow it works and it like you retain it in Dune. Like it's the same rule set. There's still like the same retreating rules, the same like, you can only hit on this when you've retreated for once, and special units which hit on this thing. Like, but we were like, why does it feel so good in Dune, and why not in War of the Ring? I don't know. Yeah. Although War of the Ring, if you love it, I just put out today over on Dice Tower for WSBG the finals of War of the Ring that was at the WSBG, and it was commented on by Stephen Bonacore, it's War of the Rings his number one game, and Ira Fey, who is also his number one game. He's like a developer behind Iridia and also has like a War of the Ring centric YouTube channel, and they both said it was like one of the best games they've ever seen. And watching it, they were like freaking out throughout. So if you're a War of the Ring fan, like go watch it, because I watched it all the way through and I was like, this is cool. Like this is how the game's supposed to be played.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. So so be sure to check that out, folks. Dune War for Arrakis. Very nice.
Goblin in chat is just asking quickly, could you apply the Dune rules to War of the Ring? No. You couldn't, because the dice are different. The dice are D6 in War of the Ring, and they're like actually like etched dice in War for Arrakis with like a hit and a shield, which I think helps. And also like there are so many thematic rules in War of the Ring. Like it is the most thematic experience with War of the Ring. Like everything has a trigger, and that trigger is so tied into like the Lord of the Rings experience. So I don't think there would be a possibility.
Cool. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. What's up, Ray?
I'm glad you like that game. That has zero appeal to me. I'm just sitting here being like, man, really glad I didn't go over to Chris's house that day. That sounds like a bad time. That's just so not my kind of game. Fantastic. And I'm a big Lord of the Rings person, and I have no desire for War of the Ring. No desire for big, long area control war games.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ironically, given an upcoming pick of mine on this list.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna get to that in just a second. Let's start with number 3 first. I've got number 3, and this game honestly blew me away. I'd heard about it, and when I actually got to play it, I was just so overwhelmingly surprised. It's our collector number 3. It is a game called The Gang. Now, The Gang, folks, it's basically Texas Hold'em poker. That's all it is. But what blew me away is they took out the two biggest parts of poker. Now, I love poker. I'm a poker player. And they took out the two like essential elements of poker, which is betting and bluffing. There's no betting, there's no bluffing in this. And yet, this game has the closest to a poker experience I've ever had in a poker style game. There's been other games that incorporate poker elements. We're talking about Reiner Knizia earlier. Schottentotten, you make like little poker hands. There's other games that have bluffing, like tons of games that have bluffing. And yet combining those two never felt like poker to me. But the gang is literally poker. It's got this little theme where you're breaking in, it's like a heist, like Ocean's 11. You're breaking into some vaults or whatever. But don't worry about that. What you need to know is how to play poker. And they give you like a little cheat sheets, like what hands beat what, and how it plays. Just a real quick primer on Texas Hold'em Poker. You have a hand of 2 cards that's secret information. Then you have a hand of 5 community cards, as you see there on the screen. And using combinations of those and the ones in your hand, you're going to make a poker hand. And what you try to do, obviously in poker, is try to have the best hand possible. Now, in the gang, what you're trying to do, without any kind of information sharing or talking or whatnot, you're trying to rank who has the highest hand and who has the lowest. And just by the way you bet and just, you can say things, you just cannot say specific things about hands. And you're trying to suss out, okay, well, I think Ray's got a straight, maybe Chris has got the flush, and I've got a full house or whatever. And you're trying to rank those by taking chips. Let me fast forward a little bit and go over here. Okay, there. You're trying to take the ranking chips, and if you have one with the 1 star is the lowest hand, all the way up to the number of players, like 4 or whatever, that's the highest hand. You're trying to do that each round, and at the end of the round, you're trying to see, did you get these right? Did you rank the highest hand the highest, and so forth? It's so brilliant. And what's cool is you add on these extra cards. So if you did it correctly in the first round, the object is to get 3 successful heists. If you did it correctly in the first one, you're going to get a challenge card. So it makes it a little tougher. So now one player may have 3 cards in their hand or whatever. It makes it a little tougher to suss out what they have. But if you fail, you get a little helper card. So it makes it a little easier. So that one might be, hey, you get to look at another player's hand. I was so blown away because I was so skeptical about this game. I was like, there's no way this could be any good. Like, I know poker. I played it all my life. How can you make it a cooperative game? It's basically poker meets the mind, folks. And it is absolutely brilliant. I love it. Now, having said that, I'm really curious for non-poker players how they'd react to this. As poker players, like, I'm through the roof. I have played it at various player counts, and the only time I've played it with anyone that one person who had no idea of poker, we showed her the hand rankings, and she seemed to get it throughout the game. I don't know if she was as excited as the rest of us. This was actually at the World Series of Board Game, Chris, and just being there in Vegas playing this, I was like, this is so crazy. I'm playing poker and there's no money involved, and I'm more excited about this than losing my money here. But it is so good and so brilliant. I do want to mention this, it's a downer, but one of the designers, Corey Keith, recently passed away. It's such a bummer. But you know what? In his honor, I mean, he's created a fantastic game. My favorite game of the year, surprisingly. I had no idea I would love it this much, but a cooperative poker game, yes, it works, folks. That's why it's our collective number 3, The Gang.
It seems like Cosmos took the crew and made it applicable to bridge and euchre players, and they're like, we can do it again with poker players. That's what it's the crew for poker.
That's
what it feels like to me.
Totally
is.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like to play as well. I played this, I enjoyed it. It's one of the reasons why it didn't hit as hard with me. It's the same thing with the crew. I love trick taking games. I'm like, I would rather be beating people.
Right.
But if you're not a psycho like me and you enjoy playing nice with others, yes, I definitely saw when I played the gang, I saw all the elements of it that made it good. I have an uncontrollable urge to win. So I struggled with the cooperative nature of it. But yes, if you like the crew, if you like that cooperative spin on classic card game styles, the gang, Cosmos, I really think they have got a really cool, predictable formula. And I don't mean predictable in a bad way. I mean that they probably have found their audience with it and they're giving them what they want. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. One of our viewers in chat, Tyler's dad 71, says, "I've never played poker, yet they love the gang." And that's cool to hear, because I really I'm so curious about that. Just a couple of weeks ago, my brother celebrated his birthday, so we went over there, had a poker game like we used to back in the day. And I was wondering, as we're playing poker, it's like, you know what? On Thanksgiving, I'm going to bring the gang. I want to see how my poker-loving family enjoys this. And if they do, great. If not, then we'll just play poker. But it is, I absolutely adore this game. Again, just for the two main reasons. It took out betting and bluffing and somehow made it work, which just blew me away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we got one more.
Got one more before Richard
comes back.
All right, Ray, it is up to you.
All right. So after telling Chris I don't think I would have liked his pick very much, our number 2 is once again Cole Worley has tricked me into playing and liking a war game. I think this is he's the only designer who can do this to me, trick me into playing a war game and then trick me into liking it a lot. It is something that I think he's kind of cornered that design market on, is repackaging war games for traditional Euro gamers. And Arcs is absolutely it's so good. I've talked about it a bunch, so I probably will, but I'm gonna say I'm not gonna talk about it too much, and then I'm gonna talk about it for 15 minutes.
Yeah, you just need to get that out of the way first, and then you can talk about it for as long as you want.
Yeah, I need to be self-aware about the fact that I'm gonna talk about this a bunch. I've probably played this game 24 times since it came out. I am obsessed with it. It is so good. So basically, Arcs, if you're unfamiliar, is a space opera game that can either be an aggressive area control game, a tight resource management game, or an above-the-table political game, depending on who you're playing with, or in the best games, it is all 3 of those things. So what I love about Arcs, and I think what separates it from other war games, other area control games, again, 2 mechanics that I never really like in any other format. What I like about Arcs is that what you're trying to do in Arcs is constantly changing because of the way the action system is set up. So the person who leads a particular hand has the ability to set claim an ambition, which is basically just setting up a global goal for that round, which is how you get points. If something you want to do doesn't have an ambition attached to it, there are no points. This is a war game where attacking each other has no inherent value, which I find very interesting. Unless someone has declared the warlord ambition, beating each other up is pointless. So depending on the round, if all of the resource management objectives have been claimed, then it's just going to be a tight race for resources. And yes, you can attack each other to steal them, but your goal with attacking people is different. It's to steal their stuff as opposed to just decimate them. So it feels really different. The tempo changes so much mid-game because of that system. It's fascinating. And if you're unfamiliar with how the action system works, it's basically trick-taking, but it also is. I see a lot of people say this is not a trick-taker, and it kind of is. It's not the number 1 mechanic on BGG for this game is not trick-taking, but there is an element of, if you don't get a suit of cards that has the actions you want to do, then you have got to exploit your voids to do other things. It's just, it's so interesting, and it's so hard to explain, and I hate talking about it because I feel like I never ever do it justice. But this action economy of having to play the right cards and follow suit and trick take is so interesting, and there's also such an interesting strategy behind when to declare ambitions, because if you've never heard of this game before and you just heard what I just described, you're probably like, okay, well, if I want to be the warlord, I'll just declare warlord every time and just fight everybody and win. The trick with that is that you can only declare 3 ambitions in a round, and if you immediately declare warlord, you're basically telegraphing to everyone. You're telling everyone, this big neon sign, this is what I'm trying to do this round. Or if you say, I'm going to collect all the fuel, everyone knows that's the thing you're trying to do, and they will spend the next several turns trying to stop you or trying to claim more fuel than you. But if you wait too long to claim an ambition, the value of those ambitions goes down. So it's such an interesting decision of, first of all, playing the trick-taking game right to position yourself as first player so that you can declare an ambition, and then picking the right tempo of what ambitions to declare and when. It just makes for such an interesting, complex, and yet streamlined game. Again, one of the things I love about this is it doesn't feel like a war game in the sense that you have a billion different attacks and different special things that happen. You just roll dice, you hit or you don't. There's a couple of things that happen, but it really strips down the battle mechanic, which is what I don't like about war games. I don't just like chucking dice and blowing people up is not fun. There's so much else going on in this game that, yes, that element is there, but it doesn't overpower the game to me. And there's so many other paths to victory. And even if you're playing really aggressively, if you don't draw the right cards the next round, you may have to totally pivot because maybe Warlord isn't an option this round, and you suddenly have to start building up your fuel economy because that's the ambition that was declared. It's such a joy to play. It's such an interesting, unique design. I love Cole as a designer. Again, congrats to him for tricking me into playing another area control war game, a genre that I otherwise avoid like the plague. This is our collective number 2, Arcs.
Yeah. Ray, I love that you love this game. I'm assuming this is like an outlier for you. This is probably the only this type of game that you love, right?
Yeah,
to me,
definitely.
Yeah, your Arcs is like my Twilight Imperium. I'm not into big like 4X, multi-hour marathon games, but Twilight Imperium I absolutely love. So that's my outlier, and I'm dying to play Arcs because everyone says similar things. They absolutely love it. And I mean, Cole, we've talked to him before on the show here. He's a genius, folks. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, we've
truly. He's one of my favorite modern designers.
We've sighed and just listened to him speak and forgotten where we were. That's what happened when he was on the show.
Yeah.
So. I think that's interesting that I was also thinking about Twilight Imperium when you were describing. I haven't played this either. I haven't played Arcs yet, but I was thinking about that concept of one of the big disconnects that I had with Twilight Imperium, at least the first time that I played it. I have a lot of disconnects with Twilight Imperium, but was that the battles are meaningless. They essentially are meaningless. Like they don't get you points, right? They get you positioning. They get you taking over other people's planets, but they don't there's no active I destroyed you. It's like Scythe, you get a point for winning a battle, right? There's no direct sort of reward is that wrong, Ruel?
Yeah, there are a couple of combat cards, Chris. If you pull the certain mission in Twilight Imperium, you will get a point for destroying winning a combat in a certain scenario. There's certain
in a certain scenario, a certain place,
right.
or like taking over somebody's home planet or whatever, right?
That's one of them, yeah. And then there's another one. It's I forgot what it was. Destroy
but no inherent value, I think, is what you're.
Situation.
Yeah, they're the secret objectives, right?
Secret objectives, correct.
They're not the objectives that pop up top for everybody to get. Okay,
yes.
Cool. I'm glad I was remember. Yeah. So in terms of that inherent sort of battle, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So maybe you should run out and get it, Ruel, because
you should too. We should play
because the warlord again could be that inherent. That trigger, right? If you have that trigger, you get the points for it. But I was thinking about that comparison.
Ray, I'm wondering, as far as Arcs goes, have you played at different player counts? I'm wondering how the experience changes at different player counts.
I have only played it at 3.
Okay.
I am scared of playing it at 2 because I for some reason my brain can't wrap my head around it being good at 2.
That's my.
But people say it is. I've played it every single time. Again, I've played it over a dozen times since it came out. It's always been at 3 players. So I don't have a good barometer if it's good at 4 and 2. But
right. I'm wondering, for the 2-player experience, do they bring in a little bot or an AI?
I have no idea. I really I don't know why I don't feel like I'd ever play it at 2 players. I really like the complexity at 3 players. It feels like there's a lot going on, a lot to keep track of. You can fly under the radar better with 3 players. I'm not the person to ask about that because I honestly don't know if I'd ever pick it up at 2.
Yeah, cool. All right, wow, 10 through 2, folks. Pretty amazing games, but we've got one more, and Richard's going to bring it on home with his choice for number 1. Take it away, Richard. Richard.
Hey gang, that was a great list. Hello, I'm a little late to the party, although I think this entire party is a little bit too early. I'm only gonna be talking about one game that's my favorite for the year, but it is the best game I've played so far. But if you wanna hear more from me, folks, on Christmas Day, I'll be putting up my preliminary top 10 games of the year, like always. Filmed probably right around here at Bahia de Los Angeles. This is La Gringa Bay, and the sun's going down, as you can see. Oh, let me show you what it really looks like. All right, there we go. That's what's going on right over my shoulder right now. That is awesome. And now I've disappeared. Oh, here I come back. Okay. Anyway, number 1. game of 2024, a year that I think right now is sitting in my number 4 slot of best years of all time, maybe my number 5. Again, I'll go more into that when I do my Christmas Day countdown, but it's Saltfjord. And of course it's going to be Saltfjord because for the longest time, Santa Maria from the same designers, Eilif Svensson and Christian Osby was in my top 20. And it was a great game marred by a very unpleasant subject matter, era of colonization type stuff. Well, they've revisited it and not only rethemed it to be all about fishing in the fjords, and Saltfjord specifically, but also they went back and made some interesting tweaks to the gameplay, and I've got to say, overall, it is an even more enjoyable game than it was originally. It is sitting right now just outside of my top 10 favorite games of all time, and I could see over time it pushing its way in to one of my top 10, not of 2024, but of just my entire collection. It is that good. But I'm going to have plenty more to talk about. Come back on Christmas Day. Same Rahdo time, same Rahdo channel, folks. Hope to see you there. But Chris, Ray, and Ruel, that was a fantastic list. I've got to get Endeavor Deep Sea played. I'm so excited for it. The other best game of the year, retheming eras of colonization into something much more fun. All right. I'm going to let it go back to you guys, and I'll see everybody on Christmas Day. Who knows where we'll be at that point on the road.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Wow. So Chris gets a shout out from Richard. Times have changed, apparently.
Hey.
Wow. The Endeavor Deep Sea. Saltfjord, I had no idea he was going to pick that one. I was all in on Windmill Valley. So
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Santa Maria is really good. I've only played it once. I played it at Dice Tower West when last time I was there, so 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Jacob, who I played it with, and it was mechanically, it is so good.
Yeah.
The art is so unfortunate. Oh man, it's like you're giving the inhabitants of Santa Maria, they get happiness points because they get really happy for all the great things you're doing to their land, helping them cultivate it. Right? We love happiness points.
That's it.
So Saltfjord is very exciting to me as well because mechanically, it like Santa Maria though is really really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait to play it. So those are top 10, folks. Let's talk about the games that everyone, our live studio audience, our live internet audience is.
No, our live studio audience. They're
here.
Oh man.
I do want to shout out
Rolling Reggie.
Yeah, he's got some bangers on that list. Rolling Reggie. I just played for the first time this year Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. That was absolutely fantic.
That was exactly what I was going to talk about.
Okay, cool. Now, if you don't want to play War of the Ring, play this one here, Duel. It'll take you 35 minutes at most. It is fantastic. It's the re-implementation of Seven Wonders Duel. I really liked it, Ray. I loved just thematically. I felt everything worked, and it felt to me a little more streamlined than Seven Wonders Duel. Like little bits of it just seem a little easier to get into. But Ray, was that your experience with it?
I am so upset because I love Lord of the Rings more than almost anything. And Seven Wonders Duel, I have, despite nothing but Chris and Richard making fun of me, I have defended that game endlessly on this channel. And we have very good friends who have told us, don't get it because we're going to get it for you for Christmas or for your birthday. And it has yet to show up on my door. So I have not played it because I'm being very good and I'm not buying it because I was told that it was going to get purchased for me, and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm very upset because it probably would have made my top 3 game of the years because it's an IP I'm absolutely in love with, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. But I have zero comment on it because I haven't played it. I'm waiting so patiently for my copy.
Very nice.
You have a late in the year birthday. Is your birthday coming up, Ray?
No. My partner's birthday is early next year, so they were like, "We'll get it for you sometime."
Wow.
So
what if you don't even get it for Christmas?
That's listen, not to like be aggressive about it, but
Like, do I need to be filming this and sending it just anonymously to somebody?
no. See, if it was anything else, I would have been chill about it. But this is it's getting ridiculous. I've been told to wait.
Yeah.
So here I am, waiting not so patiently for my copy.
John Tripp says, "How dare they buy you something you actually want? They've ruined Christmas." I agree. Yeah. We don't want to wait.
Yeah.
What is
my
this?
God.
I'm sure
No,
it's great.
this is the benefit of retail.
Everyone loves it. I'm sure it's great, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to play it eventually.
Wow.
By the way, we are filming this live on Twitch, folks. We got a raid from Luzapalooza. I want to thank them for that. Also, Little Goblin earlier raided us. Before we continue with this, why don't we talk about some of the honorable mentions we had? Chris, anything that you want to point out that didn't make our final list?
None of them. I didn't play anything.
Okay.
No, here are the two things that like I think could have been fighting for it. One is in my bag right now that I think is going to be a hit with the cast where I'm hanging out with. It's charcuterie.
Oh yeah,
it's the little here. I'm gonna go get it. Somebody else say something.
Yeah, it's I played charcuterie. Michelle and I, we did a sponsor stream for them, and it was great because Michelle actually made a real charcuterie board as we played the game. It was so
and like the pieces are so
Yeah.
fun. You get your own little. You look at this little cookbook.
Mhm.
This little cookbook that you got here.
Yes.
And then you get your own little charcuterie board.
Yes.
And then you get your own little bag of fun charcuterie tiles that you're gonna draft.
Nice.
And the cheeses, and there's there's some carrots. There's although it says broccoli on the back, so I don't know what that's about. I thought these were double-sided for sake of like if you didn't want to play with like you have a cheese a cheese. Oh, it must just be veggies
and cheese. Category. That's right.
Yeah,
that
makes
veggies.
Sense.
You get your little meats here. No, that's a tomato.
Tomato.
I thought it was.
We'll work on it, Chris. We'll do flashcards for you.
I think it looks good, and it's really like it's really lifelike. You have some more cheese.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You have a cracker. These are just actual crackers. This is my lunch. That was now.
Wait, what?
Sitting beside me. So yeah, that's one that I'm excited and I want to play. Tyler's dad said charcuterie, the one you got tricked into backing. Tyler's dad tricked me into backing it. He suckered me into it. I got suckered.
Nice.
So that was one that I was like, oh dang, I wish I had played that. Another one that I wish I had played, which I'm very excited to play, that arrived before I left for the contract, and I was like, I can't bring it with me on the contract. Is Earth Under Siege Flashpoint. I'm super stoked to try this one out. It's like a stealth game, scenario based, kind of progressive. But the stealth in it looks really good, and I think it might hit the nail on the head in stealth. And some people from my Discord have played it and have already enjoyed it as well. And so I was like, dang, I know that probably would have like made it on the list and like potentially edged out some stuff. But and I wish I had played it enough to be able to, or played it at all, to be able to confirm what I expect will be enjoyment. That's the benefit of going through and reading all the rule books for everything, is that like I've gotten pretty good at picking out things that like, oh, I'm like, this will hit with me. I know the experience that I'll get.
That's a skill. I cannot. I have to play something to understand it. I can't just. I'm so jealous of people who can just read rule books and glean. Not to mention if the game is good for them, but just how the game works. I have to like lay it out and like do it as I'm learning or watch a video.
I've gotten better over the years for sure, but it's just practice now that I've done it for 3 years and 2,500 games. Those are real numbers. But those are what I put on my honorable mentions. Because I was sad to see them on the list. Gnome Hollow was on my short list, but I think like the more I've played Gnome Hollow, I still really like it. Like I put a review out of it recently. I gave it like 4 out of 5. But I find that like the flowers and the rings are often everybody always gets them. In the
Okay.
and like everybody always gets
Mm.
that amount of points, and
Yeah.
so whereas I want there
Mm.
to be more of a disparity, like I want to go full
That's fair.
rings with the strategy, I want to go full flowers with the strategy, right? Like
Right.
I want to
Sure.
be able to like have the max of that and feel really good that I got the max and
Yeah.
nobody else was able to get that max. And I
Got
haven't
it.
quite figured out like how much blocking I need to do in order to make that
Mhm.
happen. And so it feels like the game comes down to comes down to the mushroom selling, which is good. Like fighting for
Mhm.
those mushrooms
Right.
is
Yeah.
important, but it feels like, oh, these other things like seem like they're going to be more important, but they're not as more important. So like the more I've like
Yeah.
delved into it,
Yeah.
that's been my takeaway from Gnome Hollow. But I still
Yeah.
don't mind because it is so cute and so like fun to interact with,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's where like I'll still play it. I'll still play it anytime.
Yeah.
But from like if I want like that would push it to the next level would be that like extra level of diversity of strategy,
Right.
which but I also don't think that's the design. I think that is the
Right.
game it is meant to be more friendly. Like it is friendly, it's a friendly game, right?
Mhm.
And so I think
Mhm.
like that it leads into that design aspect, but I recognize that like that's a personal preference for me, so that's why it wouldn't have
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be on like my top,
Yeah.
but it's still like very enjoyable. Was
Oh,
another
that's
one
fair.
that I
Yeah.
just didn't talk about it when we were
It's totally
talking
fair. Yeah.
in our Gnome Hollow section because I wasn't sure how much time we had, and I was like, all right, well, I can talk about it in the
Yeah. Well, this
in
is
the
what. Yeah. This is what this part is
the
for.
post part. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. What about you, Ray? Anything that you want to do honorable mentions for?
Yeah, I mean, I liked again a couple of the ones that you guys picked were on my list. I had Landmarks was on my list.
Yep. Same.
Bus and Stop from Sashi and Sashi was a nice,
Mhm.
pleasant surprise. I don't think it was ever going to be Game of the Year material for me, but it quite surprised me. I'm really bummed I didn't get to play Panda Flip because I think I would have really enjoyed
Oh,
that, but I
yeah.
didn't. They were sold out when I went to Essen, and I
Mhm.
just never was able to get a copy online. So I'm bummed about that. There were several games that I think I would have really enjoyed, but they were sold out by the time they kind of made their way to me in my radar.
Yeah.
I need you all to know I put so much self-restraint against not putting Stick Collection as my number one game because I've had some of my favorite games this year have been with Stick Collection, which is I believe an Itten game where
Yeah.
you're betting on sticks of various lengths and you're trying to get a stick collection, but the trick is the stick you're bidding on is in the center of the table and it's in a little little holder, and you are sitting on the edge of the table with your sticks, and you're not allowed to put your stick next to the stick in the middle of the table. So it's just visual calculus of is this the right length of stick that I want? That's the whole game.
This is
And
such
That
a
it
should
Ray
be
is
on your
game. I
list.
love
I
worst
know
this.
it's your
time
number
ever.
one. It
Yeah.
should
I
have
know
been your number
Bloody
one.
Lion in chat hated it. And I think everyone I played it with, when I played it with you, also hated it. But I've since come home to my gaming group at home, and we have a riot with it. You have to. It was definitely a game. Honestly, that's a higher praise than I know some people would give it. Some people would say it's not a game at all. It's absolutely up my alley for
Yeah. This sounds like
ridiculousness.
a good type of
I
game.
Oh, Stick Collection says
Helga.
2021 on BGG. What
Oh,
is
does
that
it?
about? Yeah.
I mean, I got it this year, so maybe you know what? It's
Yeah.
disqualified anyways.
There we
Never
go.
mind.
That's the
then.
reason why I couldn't show up, because otherwise it should have been your number one.
Yeah.
Never
That sounds like
mind.
such a Ray
So,
game. I want to check
it's
this
very
out.
fun. I
Yeah.
will say it was my secret plug of getting to talk about Stick Collection. It's great if you like a weird little
Nice.
experience.
That's
So
great.
never
No,
mind
that
on that.
honestly, that's the highlight of the video for me.
Seriously, same.
It's so it is the quintessential. Honestly, I feel like I've found the game that I need. It was Yum Yum Island, but now it's Stick Collection
Yeah.
to describe.
Oh,
and then
speaking of
Drapolter gets a
Yep.
3.
Yeah.
We should do top 10 games that are Ray.
Yeah, the top 10 Ray games.
That would be my
I'm
3.
so
That
down
would be
with
my
that.
3.
Something
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
that probably aren't really games.
Stick Collection, Yum Yum Island,
Yeah,
Drapolter.
drop holder.
Those would
Yep.
be my 3
Yeah.
for you.
Speaking of Yum
Yep.
Yum Island, I'm going to be bringing it to my family's Thanksgiving and hopefully get to the
Yes!
table. I'm super excited to try it out. Yeah.
Yum Yum Island. Woohoo! I'm so
anything
happy.
else, Ray,
I'm so happy.
besides
Hope you
Stick
enjoy it.
Collection? Any other games you want to? No? Okay.
No, I really wanted to like Souvenirs from Venice, the new Oink game. It kind of fell flat for me. I just prefer
Okay.
deep sea adventure. I just
Mm.
do. Same with
Yeah.
Moving Wilds. I was really excited about it. Didn't really hit for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, no,
Cool.
I feel very confident. My top 3 were the 3 games
Yeah.
that I both think I played the most
Mhm.
and that I liked the most. I think this is kind of like Chris. I was deciding to just play games I liked. I tried to, hit the hot games of the year, but those 3 really were my standouts. I feel very
Yeah.
confident in my top 3.
Cool. Yeah, going through my list, I realized this year I played a lot more lighter games than normal, which has been really cool. We've already talked about The Gang, Gnome Hollow. Captain Flip was my number 3. I mean, I love that game, so I'm glad that you talked about it, Ray. Number 4, we just talked about Rolling Reggie, Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. That game is fantastic, which you're going to find about real soon, Ray. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Maybe. Or maybe next Christmas. If
Maybe
not this
next Christmas, yeah,
then
who knows?
next Christmas.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had a huge list here. So let's go to Japan. That came out this year.
Oh man, I really wanted to play that.
that
I
game-
didn't get a chance.
It's fantastic.
Ugh.
It's like such a great tableau builder. Other ones on my list, we talked about Skyrise already, and actually, Chris, you mentioned Foundations of Metropolis. That was on my list for this year as well.
Nice.
Because,
a good
like
pick.
as you say, the accessibility of that game. I mean, more people should be playing. It's a really great gateway style tile laying game. Other ones, Castle Combo, which I fell in love with recently. It's a card game, again, sort of like King Domino-ish with some more elements going on where you're just building a 3x3 grid of cards. What else on my list? We talked about Landmarks. That was probably my favorite party game of the year, Ray. Landmarks, a cross between Codenames and like Cryptid, I guess, where you're trying to get your way out of there. And finally, I think it was Rolling Reggie also talked about Middle Ages. This was the re-implementation of For the Majesty's Realm by Marc Andre, the creator of Splendor. And this one, I think I might have talked about this one before. Basically, when Splendor came out, there was another game that came out called, it's totally the one that's sort of like the Splendor Killer. What was that one called again?
Oh, Century Spice Road.
Century Spice
Golem
Road.
Edition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when people were calling that, I like to joke with my friends. Our theory was when Marc Andre heard, we got a Splendor Killer, he designed For the Majesty's Realm, said, "Yo, this is the Century Spice Road Killer," which I think it was, and then they rethemed it in the Middle Ages. It's a wonderful game, so be sure to check that out. It's also on BGA, folks. And those are all my honorable mentions. Let's talk about.
That's a good list.
Yeah,
Well,
it's another great year for gaming.
It is, but none of us said the number 1 game of the year according to Board Game Geek's ranking. In fact, we didn't even get the top 3. I'm just looking at
they were all
Board
the
Game
big
Geek.
heavy Euros this
Let's
year,
talk
right?
about those. Yeah.
No, not even that big. I think one is, I don't know. Actually, I don't know anything about number 1, but I do. Number 1 is Harmonies. It's ranked at 159. I know it's on Board Game Arena. I know some people in my Discord were playing it, but I have not played it. I really don't know much about it, to be honest with you. But it is ranked a 1.97 in terms of weight. So in terms of big heavy Euro, I think not.
Yeah.
But I know it is. I know it's like a lightweight, like simple one, and this is really surprising to me that it is ranked as the current top of the year according to like people's rankings and Board Game Geek's rankings, which is, you can take that for a grain of salt, but also the fact that BGG generally skews a little bit more complex is higher. That should make a pretty nice case for Harmonies as well, which I know is that it's on Board Game Arena and that other people have been playing it, been like, oh, Harmonies is fun. And I'm like, great.
On Board Game Arena, I gotta try it then.
So do I. I'm dying to play that one. What other ones, Chris? The top 3. So that was one.
The other ones, moving down. Then we have Slay the Spire, which was dropped and came out. I kind of would have expected that to be over Harmonies, but that's at 186. Wormspan at 192.
Yeah.
Wormspan.
And then at
I guess Wormspan was on my short list too. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You talked about it in.
I've talked about Wormspan a bunch. Yeah.
And then coming in 4th is one of our picks. What's the guess?
Is it Arcs?
Who got it?
It's Arcs.
Yeah,
it's Arcs. I was gonna say if any of these made it on that,
Mm-hmm.
that's a slam dunk for the BGG community. That doesn't surprise me.
Arcs is at 198, and then Ray's Christmas gift that I'm getting her in 2035.
I'm just
Lord of the Rings: Duel for Middle Earth is
it's,
number 5.
It's gonna be Christmas Day and everyone's gonna have gotten me that. I'm gonna have 15 copies.
Fantastic. Somebody, please, I need to make sure that it happens. So that's at 223, and then there's a big jump to another one. The second, it comes in at 669. It is 6th of the year according to the Board Game Geek rankings. It was also that's the second appearance on our collective list of 10. What's the guess?
Skyrise?
No, Skyrise is
Saltfjord. Probably Richard's pick.
Oh,
Saltfjord.
Really?
Saltfjord isn't even like showing up in the first.
Is it
year.
Captain Flip?
Captain Flip?
No.
Oh.
No, it's my pick.
Then I don't care.
Oh,
Then
it's
I
my
don't
pick.
care. Whatever it
Dune
is, it's
War for
bad. It's not
Arrakis.
as good as
Yeah.
Captain Flip.
It's,
I don't
it's
care.
Ray's favorite game, Dune War for Arrakis.
Oh, whatever. BGG, you fine.
That's
fine.
6, and Andromeda's Edge is 7. Endeavor
Oh.
Deep Sea comes back to me for 8.
Okay, so
Then
we had a pretty.
Let's Go to Japan is 9, and the Star Wars Unlimited 10.
I
And then
really
Star
want
Wars
to play Let's Go to
Unlimited.
Japan.
That's
That's like,
right.
I think.
Yeah.
Skyrise
Top
was
of my-
15th,
Okay.
beaten by Seventh Citadel, Unconscious Mind, Invention, Evolution of Ideas, and Ezra and Nehemiah. Skyrise currently at 1085 on
Man.
Board Game Geek.
Wow.
Unconscious Mind. I really like the theme of that, and boy howdy, I walked by it at Essen and I went, I went, and like I love a heavy game. I really do. Like my games of Arcs will go 3 hours plus hours, but that game just it looked so fiddly. It looked like there was so like what I like about Arcs is that yes, there's a lot going on, but it feels streamlined and elegant and like everything. I don't know. I walked by it and I went, that's the type of fiddly Euro I don't like, and that might be completely wrong. I completely am open to being corrected on that. I've never actually played it, but I walked by it. I went, my head hurts.
Did you play Endless Winter?
I did not.
Well, it's the same like production. It's Fantasia Games, and so I feel like Endless Winter was. I haven't played Unconscious Mind, but Endless Winter was a bunch of little mini games, and so I can. And Unconscious Mind feels like it's taken that to the sort of next level. Although Sean in the comments says Slay the Spire, Primal, and Unconscious Mind are his top 3. Dune War for Arrakis would be number 4. Sweet,
Nice.
That's a good list. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And
I
Bloody
had that
Lion-
same reaction, Goblin. Goblin says Seventh Citadel was this year. I also had the impression that game had been out a lot longer than 2024.
You know, I get it mixed up with Seventh Continent because I know that's been around forever.
That's maybe what's happening with me. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I confuse it with Seventh Continent.
Yep.
Totally right.
Also, Sean, who's in my Discord and has played Seventh Citadel, shares my hate for Seventh Continent. I've never played Seventh Citadel, but Sean quite enjoyed Seventh Citadel, and I'm sure he might drop a comment down. Sean's saying Unconscious Mind isn't a hard one to play, longish learn, but one that once you're through the rules, it's easy to remember. Fantastic 2 players, not too tight.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right.
Nice.
Longish learn makes sense because of all the little mini games. I feel like Endless Winter is a pretty long learn, but then when you get into it, you kind of get it.
For sure.
I just, speaking of longish learns, I had a really wonderful experience with a Vital Lacerda game recently at the World Series of Board Gaming. For the first time, I played Vinos, and I absolutely loved it. It was so good, but it took like over an hour for the teach. But our friend Casey, she's Brain in a Jar on social media. She loves Lacerda games, and she had I was like, I don't want to play any other Lacerda games unless Casey is teaching to me.
Yeah,
she's the best teacher ever. Yeah, so
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, but that game's it's an older game, but if it wasn't an older game, that was definitely my game of the year. It was so brilliant. Lacerda's a hit and miss thing with me. Like I can appreciate the brilliance and the genius, but they're not going to get to my table very often just because of like how dense they are. But again, I appreciate how brilliant they are. Anyways, any final thoughts? We should get going. We're going to get out of here, and I think we're good to go. Right? That's a pretty good list.
Yeah,
it was a good year. I think, I mean, I've only done this once before, but I felt really good about my top 3. Like this was a good year. There was competition for those spots for sure, but like at the end of the day, man.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
A lot of good games, and
agreed.
Oh no, keep talking. I'm looking up 2023 for what are the top ranked games.
Oh, I'm curious. Yeah.
According to Board Game Geek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's also validating to hear that you it's validating to hear that what we picked independently kind of lines up with what the community was thinking. That also makes me feel pretty good about where we landed.
Yeah, I like having that sort of balance, right? I felt
Totally.
like a shill that I had 2 in the top 10. I was like, oh my gosh, I've gone with the popular vote. Oh no.
Oh.
For 2023, I'll just run through the top 10 and the top 15 because I can just say them. Number 1 of 2023 right now is Dune Imperium Uprising. Number 2 is Sky Team, and that's different because it was Hegemony leads your class to victory. When I because I made a death match like early on in 2024, and Hegemony was the highest rank. But I guess people have been putting the rankings in now. So Dune Imperium Uprising is number 1, sitting at 25. Sky Team at 49.
I'm sure
Hegemony,
Sky Team also jumped a bunch since winning the Spiel. I'm sure it was not. I don't think it was that high up this time last year.
It was in like the 200s, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hegemony is 58. Age of Innovation, the Terra Mystica, is 79. Coming in at number 5, Darwin's Journey. Yeah,
nice. That was us. We got that one.
Yeah, 102. 6 is White Castle.
Good.
116. White Castle's really good. I played it for the first time now because it's going to be in the World Series of Board Gaming next year.
That's an interesting pick for the World Series.
I'm excited. And man, it's good. Like Red Cathedral's great, so I knew I would like White Castle. But that's number 6. We're on number 7 is Great Western Trail New Zealand at 133. So good. Like,
played it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's like so fantastic. I played it again recently and just like really, I love it. 137, number 7 is Voidfall. 142 and number 8 is Ticket to Ride Legacy. Number 9 is Nucleum at 193. Number 10 is Earth at 195.
Nucleum was last year?
Wait, Earth was last year?
I thought Nucleum was this year. I really did.
I did too. Yeah. And Earth was last year? I feel like that game's been around forever.
Year.
Oh my god.
I know Earth was last year.
Really?
I really thought Nucleum was a Essen release this year, but I don't know how I got that in my.
Might have been a late. And then we have Star Wars: The Deck Building Game, Forest Shuffle, Distilled, and Apiary to kind of finish out.
Ray,
I never got on the Forest Shuffle train.
Really?
I was a Forest Shuffle hater.
Oh wow. I liked it. I don't think I loved it as much as everyone else.
I heard it was fine.
It felt like point soup. I don't know. It really it was like the one game I called last year. I gave it to my mama. I was like, you can have it.
You called.
I was called. I did.
Wow.
I did. I actually think that holds the record.
Wow.
I think that holds the record as the first game I ever called. And by called, I mean I gave to a family member. That's what I mean.
That counts. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Way to go, Ray.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was a really big moment for me. Yeah.
It must have been the worst garbage amongst garbage for it to leave Ray's collection.
It was literally that I played it with my mom. She liked it. I did, and I went, "It's yours. You can have it. You can have it."
I like doing that too.
Nice. Okay. Well, great. That's a nice look back. And folks, it's been a great year of gaming. And on that note, we're going to take off. I want to thank our sponsor, Keep the Heroes Out, again for sponsoring this episode, the R&R Show. And until next time, we'll see you later. So long. Bye-bye.